Hey everybody, this is TJR. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. If not, welcome back. And just a little over a week ago, I released a video with this thumbnail here that you're looking at right now. This video unexpectedly blew up, to which I want to say thank you. Thank you, Internet. I appreciate it very much. This video did receive a number of comments and criticisms that I want to address here. And before I begin, I do want to say that the majority of the people who watched the video and commented, I believe, got what I was trying to say with this video. And to all of you, I want to say I very much appreciate you all. The idea to make this video, the genesis of it began when my partner forwarded to me an article from Far Out Magazine Online. Now, this article referenced a much older Vanity Fair magazine piece by journalist Lisa Robinson, who spent time touring with Led Zeppelin back in the 70s. And it was in this Vanity Fair piece that the quote from John Bonham stating that Karen Carpenter wouldn't last 10 minutes with a Led Zeppelin song, it's where that quote came from. The article in Far Out that referenced that also included a video of Karen Carpenter playing. And this is the video that I also put some clips of in my video too. Now, prior to seeing this video, I was aware of the fact that Karen Carpenter did play drums, but I'd never actually seen any video of her playing. Every footage that I had seen of her was her up in front singing. And so after I saw this video and just saw how, really amazing she was, and again, I'd heard she was really good, but I'd never seen it. And seeing is different from hearing about something. And I thought, wow, it made me wonder how many other people out there were probably just completely unaware of her abilities as a drummer. So I made this video first for anyone who either was not aware at all that she could play drums or was aware of it, but like me, didn't know to what extent. And as it turned out, there were a lot of viewers who said exactly that. They said, wow, I didn't know she could play, or they said, I knew she could play, but I didn't know she could play like that. Now, secondly, I also made the video because when I read the story, I saw the potential to use this story as a basis to point out why I feel it is oftentimes ridiculous to rank musicians against each other, great musicians, I should say, especially when they are stylistically so different from each other. And growing up as a musician and as a teenager, I encountered this all the time. Not unlike the story I referenced in the video, the argument I had with another guitarist, where he was trying to convince me that Eddie Van Halen was better than Pete Townsend. And my response was, no, they're both great. They're totally different. You can't really compare them. It's apples to oranges, after all. And again, a good number of people, they got what I was trying to say with this. But in spite of this, there was a small majority that didn't. Most of these were what I would describe as John Bonham fanboys or Led Zeppelin fanboys, who basically, unless you say only great positive things about Led Zeppelin, you don't like them. And I did get people saying that I need to listen to Led Zeppelin. I need to listen to what John Bonham's recorded. And I'm obviously not a fan. And the thing is if you ask me my top 3 favorite music artists of all time, it's the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Elton John. And I own every Led Zeppelin recording. So like I said, I don't understand where the I'm not a fan part plays into that. And while I'm certainly always willing to applaud Jimmy Page for his musical brilliance, I have been critical of him on the few occasions that he has blatantly ripped off music and or lyrics from other artists. In return, there has been a small faction of Led Zeppelin fans who have been critical of me for pointing this out. Their response has always been, well, it's okay that he did this because he improved on the original songs. He improved them. My response back has always been, so if I steal your car, it's okay so long as I pimp out your car and improve it, right? You can be a fan of something and still comment on it critically. And even in my video, I don't think I said anything negative about John Bonham. I kept saying, you know, he's a drum legend. He deserves his status. I did mention that when he said the rather mean remarks he made about Karen Carpenter, that he was probably speaking through the demon of alcohol and maybe also speaking through insecurities. But, you know, I guess since it wasn't complete, absolute, total, you know, praise, I guess people just got the wrong impression, or at least a certain group of people. Again, I think it's just the really kind of hardcore fanboys. So with that said, let me discuss a couple of criticisms and corrections that were given to me by a large number of viewers. The first one is that it was 10 and 11 and not 5 and 6. Now, in my video, I stated that John Bonham placed number 6, Karen Carpenter placed just above her at number 5. It turns out I was wrong. In actuality, John Bonham placed at number 11. Karen Carpenter placed above her at number 10. Now, I'm not sure how I made this mistake, but after I read this, I went back to my research and found out that, yeah, it was 10 and 11. And so I'm not sure how my brain transposed that to 5 and 6 when I wrote the script for the video. I goofed, but I don't think it affects the point of the video, which is this whole idea, again, of comparing apples to oranges. And that and the fact that Karen still placed above him and that John Bonham got extremely angry about it when he really shouldn't have. The other criticism I heard a number of times was that John Bonham didn't say that Karen Carpenter wouldn't last 10 minutes with a Led Zeppelin song, that he said she wouldn't last 5 minutes. Now, either way, he's still making disparaging remarks, but all the research that I have, and you can just go back to the original, journalism piece by Lisa Robinson, which is available online, although it was originally published in Vanity Fair magazine back before we had the internet, and she clearly states he said 10 minutes. Also, a number of people who made this comment said the reason why he would say 5 minutes is because there are no Led Zeppelin songs that are 10 minutes long. This is incorrect. There are Led Zeppelin songs that are 10 minutes long. The other criticism I received from a number of people is that my thumbnail was misleading, that they looked at this thumbnail and they thought that this video was going to be about an actual drum-off between Karen Carpenter and John Bonham that nobody knew about or had heard of before. And I was, of course, accused of clickbait, which I find funny because this is YouTube, and I'll talk about that more in a bit. But I first of all want to state that I didn't intend to mislead anybody and make anybody think that there had been a drum off by them. Now, I was trying to make a thumbnail that would be intriguing and make people want to click on, but it was never my intent to imply this. Looking back on it now, I can see where some people might have thought that. So, I'm sorry if you felt misled. It wasn't my intent. But again, this is YouTube. And if you've ever tried to make content on YouTube, one of the first things you learn is that clickbait is unfortunately the name of the game on YouTube. Now, YouTube will not say you should make clickbaity titles. They will say you should mislead people, but they will encourage you to make thumbnails that intrigue the viewer and make them want to click on and that are provocative. I have never tried to deliberately mislead people, but I will try to find creative ways to make thumbnails that are provocative or intrigue you, make you want to click on and watch. And you have to do this if you're going to survive at all on YouTube. I mean, unless you're the type of person that is maybe just uploading your home videos for your friends and family to see, it's just the way it is. You have to do this. There are a few genres where you don't. Like, for instance, if you're doing how-to videos, you don't have to really do anything that provocative, although I've even seen those. I've seen clever ways where people make provocative thumbnails just to rise above all the other how-to videos. And when I say rise above, I mean get more views, be heard above the noise. And that's the name of the game on YouTube. To a certain extent, everything on YouTube is clickbait to one degree or another. But I do apologize if anybody was misled. It wasn't my intent. The other thing that a lot of people pointed out to me was letting me know that Hal Blaine played on all the Carpenter's recordings, all their hits, and not Karen Carpenter. This, I was kind of surprised to find out. Most of the viewers who brought up this point kind of came at me with the attitude that I said the opposite, that I said that Karen Carpenter played on all the albums. Now, I never actually said that in the video, but I never said that Hal Blaine did either. And the reason is because, one, I just assumed that she had, even though I didn't mention it. So to hear this was surprising to me. And please understand that up until this year, right now, the Carpenters had always been just a greatest hits band for me. I'd never really explored their albums in any kind of serious way. It's only been this year that I've actually started to really start listening to their early albums. I've currently own 3 of them right now. I've explored those 3 albums quite thoroughly, and I intend to explore more as time goes on. But like I said, was not that familiar with them as an album artist, so therefore I never really sat closely and looked at the liner notes and really explored, who did what on what albums, which I do when they are bands that are more album bands for me. So after hearing this, I did some research, because I thought to myself, well, why would they have Hal Blaine, who, don't get me wrong, he is a legend. Hal Blaine was part of the Wrecking Crew. He's probably played on more popular recordings than any of us could ever begin to mention. So I'm aware of who he is. But I thought, the video of Karen playing speaks for itself. Clearly, she's good enough to play on these recordings. Why wasn't she? And I did some research, and I kind of found some contradictory information. And if you look at the album credits, you'll see that both Hal Blaine and Karen Carpenter are credited as drummers on the albums. Although I was able to find out that there were only really 2 albums where Karen Carpenter is credited as either playing all of the drums or almost all of the drums. And that would be their first album and an album entitled Now and Then, which I have not had the chance to really, listen to yet. But it's still kind of an odd thing. I wonder why this was. Maybe it was because on the first album, it didn't have any big hit singles. I don't know. So maybe they thought we should bring in, more of the session guys who have played on so many hit singles. I'm not sure. But when I do look at the credits on all their albums, I see both Hal Blaine and I see Karen Carpenter listed as doing drums. So I don't know who did what on what or how much, but it is to me an odd thing. And maybe it just comes down to the time period where, again, at this point in time, women weren't taken as seriously as musicians as they were as singers. I think they're only taken seriously as singers. I mentioned this in the video. Maybe that had something to do with it. A lot of people brought up the fact that Buddy Rich spoke quite highly of Karen Carpenter, which says a lot because from what I understand, Buddy Rich was not real generous with comments, or I should say praise. He's probably generous with comments, probably some of the ones you don't want to have or hear about, but he was not real generous with praise. And so for him to give praise, I think says something. And most drummers think that he was one of the greatest drummers that ever lived. So that particular comment, thank you for letting me know about this. It's kind of baffling to me. It blindsided me, but hopefully in time I can find out more about this. If you do know more about this, please leave a comment. But, basically I just kind of wanted to address these here because I felt like enough people brought it up that it should be mentioned in a video. And again, while there were some reactions that puzzled me, some of the attitudes that I received, I think for the most part, the majority of people who watched the video and commented understood what I was going for. And I found that to be very gratifying because I know that when I was younger, it just seemed like people just lived in echo chambers of their bias. You know, Eddie Van Halen's better than Pete Townsend because he plays the faster licks. You know, speed isn't everything. There's also songwriting. There's all these other aspects as well. And there's also the fact that Pete Townsend could play, sometimes sound like two people playing at once when he played rhythm guitar. So, yeah, there's more to it than just playing fast. And I love Eddie Van Halen. He's a major influence on my guitar playing. So is Pete Townsend. So I'm glad that a lot of people got this, and it tells me that more people are learning that you shouldn't focus so much on lists and rankings, and just learn to listen to the various different music artists that are out there and appreciate their own uniqueness. And so I'm really glad to see this. It's been very it's been very gratifying to see that a lot of people feel this way. I'll of course be curious to know what you think of all this. Please leave a comment, particularly if you think my thumbnail was clickbaity or not. I don't mind having a conversation about this. And again, thank you everybody for watching. As always, if you like these videos, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. And I want to thank my patron supporters. Patron supporters do receive exclusive weekly videos not available on this channel. And thank you so much for watching. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.